Your Drive with Lauri and Damian on Mix 93.8.
On the line now, we have Mike Anderson for Business Boost. Really, really exciting time of the week where we can actually get our brains in the right direction, Damian, where we can get our minds right, the business way
especially if you're trying to build things.
100%. And last week, Friday, Mike, they released the findings of the 2023-2024 National Small Business Survey. Now, these findings are obviously very, very important.
And they allow the NSBC to identify, I suppose, what you'd call the pain points and what's most needed for SMEs to survive and thrive. So, Mike, what were your findings from the survey, and what are the things that really stood out to you guys this year?
Yeah, first of all, good afternoon, Drive team. It's great to be back. And, it's an exciting time every year this time. We need to understand the pain points, the obstacles, the mistakes the SMEs are making, where they are winning. Are they employing more people? Are they not employing people? Are their turnovers growing? And here again, we create initiatives, strategies, academies, and events around the findings. So it's a high quality, it's a big one, and interesting insights, which I'll share for the first time, of course, with you on the Drive show now.
Lucky.
And for me, it's and you'll see generally, for the first time in a number of years, it's across the board. It's very positive, and I'll share with you why. But let's take a look at the biggest obstacles that are holding SMEs back from growing. It's no secret, lack of funding, cash flow, and this is one of the biggest challenges. But what's coming up quite soon, the NSBC will be announcing, is that we are going to adopting a revolutionary solution. So SMEs can be taught on what they need to do to borrow money, and then within a matter of minutes, put them to the right funder. So that's going to solve a lot of the issues out there. It's a global first, and we're super excited. Number two are poor sales. The inability to go out there and find big customers, conclude big deals, and grow top line quickly. There again, we're on a massive education drive on really showing business owners what they need to do to improve that. And then, of course, third one, competition from larger businesses, but I'll come to that in a few moments to explain exactly why. What are the biggest mistakes made by business owners? First, failure to market their business. Two, selling themselves short. Remember, we spoke about discounting. They're discounting, they're desperate instead of selling value. And number three, partnering with the wrong people. We all know poor partnerships end up in death of a business. So make sure that you're out there and you partner with the right people. Now, one of the biggest successful business owners is partnering with the right people, hiring the right people, and not borrowing money. Business owners are borrowing money for the wrong reasons. And of course, and the most important area where businesses require assistance from the NSBC in corporate South Africa, number one, goes back, sales and marketing. Number two, access to finance. Number three, access to new markets. Now, a few more key questions coming out here. This is, what type of funding are SMEs most likely to use? Where's the biggest demand? Number one is working capital. Number two is equipment finance. Number three is growth finance. And here's an important one here, is that this is all linked to funding. How often do business owners check their own personal credit score and their business? 31% never ever do. And I cannot understand that. You've got to check your credit scores. And then, of course, 20% just before applying for credit. That's no good, because if there's something wrong, you need some time to fix that. And then, of course, it goes down to about the rest, between 2 and 5 times a year. So that's quite important to understand. Now, coming back to one of the big challenges, competing with larger businesses, they struggle with competing is because, quite simply, they're not creating an online presence for their business, a professional online presence. So the question I was asked, do you use a dedicated business email account? Only 60% said yes.
Wow.
40% use, for example, a Gmail account for business. Gmail is a great account to have for other reasons, not for business. And it's a few rand a month, for goodness me. I don't understand that. Do you have a website? 37% of SMEs do not have a website. You've got to have that online presence. And then, of course, another key question, do you use a cloud payroll solution? 45% no, 55% yes. But this is the interesting stats. This is where it becomes really interesting. It's a few moments left. Have you employed new staff over the past year? Now listen to this. 39% said yes, which is good. 57% said no, they've remained the same. And only 4% decreased. So 39% has employed, whereas only 4% haven't. And the question is, of the 39% who said yes, by how much? 80% 1 to 5 people, 6% 6 to 10 people, 5% 11 to 20 people, 4% 21 to 25 people, and 5% more than 25 people.
Wow.
That's a hugely positive stat.
That's a lot of numbers.
Yeah, it's amazing. And this is where employment is coming from of the future. We've spoken about it. It's coming from the SME sector. Here's a big one. Has your business turnover increased over the past year? 42% said yes. 53% remained the same. And only 5% slightly decreased. Now, of the 42%, if they said yes, by how much? 58% said they increased their turnover by between 5 and 10%. 15% 11 to 20%, 15% 21 to 30%, 6% 31 to 50%, and 6% more than 50% increase in turnover.
Wow.
That's immensely positive. And then finally, are you expecting your business turnover to grow over the next year? Now listen to this. 95% said yes, and only 5% said no. Of the 95% that said yes, by how much? 32% will grow by turnover 5 to 10%, 25% 11 to 20%, 16% 21 to 30%, 14% 31 to 50%, and 13% more than 50%. Now that is what we call a positive sentiment over the next year and beyond. And of course there are many other stats, but these are the key ones, these are the important ones to see where we are going with the SME sector. And in general, we're very impressed, and it's in the most positive, but where the challenges are, we can fix those, and we will work with our SMEs to do that.
It does seem like things are quite fixable, where they're not where they should be, but the growth seems to be going in the right way, and very positively so. I mean, it was a little bit disheartening to hear that the economy had only expanded by 0.1% or whatever it was, but what you're telling us now, it looks like we can look to better figures for next year.
Yeah. Mike,
but what's interesting, before we go, what's interesting is that every year we see these forecasts, and the forecasts are accurate. When we say 95% say they're going to increase their turnover, we are going to reach that 95%.
We really would like to have a look at some of this information. Where can we access it online? And especially looking at like the retention of some of those staff numbers that you mentioned.
Yes. What we will do, we'll send it to you as a team, and you can use it wherever you choose to. So we'll get that to you very soon, and I'll also share that the presentation to you, so the listeners can get more insight into that. And of course, what's important is that NSBC.Africa, that's the website address. Get hold of the team. Where your pain points are, we can help them across all channels, whether it's online presence, whether it's funding, whether it's any challenge in the business. We've got the tools to fix.
Mike, thank you so much. We will catch up next week, sir.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Your Drive with Lauri and Damian on Mix 93.8.